We read Pursued by the Wolf by Savannah Sterling. I come from a family of billionaire wolf shifters, rich, powerful, dominant. Did I mention rich? We're also the most emotionally constipated family in the history of wolfkind. Me? I'm expected to mate and marry, produce little wolf pups, and spend my days overseeing one of the many family businesses. Instead, I've spent the last decade shirking responsibility, drinking too much, and generally not living up to expectations. Ain't that the truth of most people these days?
That is just being a man.
Yeah. I've never cared much about anything until I met her. The instant I see Chloe, I know that this beautiful human is my fated mate. My wolf is demanding that I claim her, but she wants nothing to do with me. Chloe is scrappy, self-reliant, and way too smart to be taken in by a guy like me. So color me surprised when she gives into my charms and falls into my bed. Well, my ski gondola. 2 minutes and 53 seconds is all I get to spend with my beautiful mate. But when I find out that Chloe is pregnant with my pup, I know I can never let her go. I've done everything ass backwards with her, but I have to prove that I'm not the player she thinks I am. I'd do anything for Chloe and our baby, and I won't stop until I win her over.
I'm falling apart. Hold on. Jeez.
Can you hear me? No, I'm assuming not.
I can't hear you if you're speaking to me.
That was my question. All good.
Welcome to our first special of September. Yo.
Welcome to Shifter September. We're going to start September with some shifters. And if you were confused on why we're missing Friday episodes, we actually are. We're missing them because we didn't record them. It's just specials for September, special September. We're taking a break. It's back to school season and we needed to take a hot minute. So it's just Shifter September. Then we're going to dive into October for all our spooky month stuff. So yes, we better make it count because this is all we're reading in September. Shifter September.
So, I will say,
Shifters.
um, for me, I did like this book. I'm just gonna say straight up the fact that I am not a pregnancy trope girly. It's not one of my favorite things to read, and I usually don't read them.
Well, that is why we're here to explore
So I
ourselves.
believe I blacked out with, with the description, or I just didn't read it and she just said the name of it and said it was a bear shifter or wolf shifter. I was like, okay, sounds great. One of those two things happened, and it was honestly either option is the correct option. So, yeah.
Honestly, who really knows? But we did read this book,
Yeah.
and it was a ride that we're going to
Yeah.
take you on.
And yeah, and this book opens with Chloe, and she has an eviction notice on her front door. She has 10 days to pay her landlord the rent she owes, or he's going to start the eviction process. It's also her birthday. She gets into the house, and this man named Finn technically lives there, but he does not answer her because he's not there currently, but she can still smell the scent of pot, which means he was definitely in there not that long ago. And he probably like hid when the landlord came by and left before she got home to tear into him. They have been doing renovations at the saloon where she waitresses on weekends, which is why she was short on her rent. And she has been begging for more hours at the bakery. And, she should have been able to get by without waitressing, but her foster sister, douchebag Canoe, skipped town and left her with her sister's now half of the rent and a pothead of an ex-boyfriend. All of a sudden, there's a heavy knock on the door, and it's actually this dude named Gator, and it is her sister's drug dealer
Can
because
you
her sister
imagine?
also doesn't pay her drug dealers.
Can you imagine having a roommate and she's not even like close to this person? Like, yes, it's basically a sister, but like not a sister she grew up
Yeah.
with. And it's not like, but can you imagine having a roommate and them leaving, and then just their boyfriend staying.
Yeah.
And then their dealer thinking you're responsible for all their, it's so wild. And this poor girl has all the bad luck.
Yeah.
And I just felt this like little kinship for a moment because I was like, this could have been me.
That's
Because
depressing.
this is
Yeah.
like, this is a situation I could have found myself in with the type of luck I have. I always find weird shit that happens like that to me.
Yeah.
So this could have happened to me.
Oh
Thank
my God.
fuck I don't let those kind of situations into my life. But this
Yeah.
could have happened to
No,
me.
absolutely. Yep.
I
Can happen
mean,
to
the
anybody.
wolf thing, maybe we can go down that avenue, but we'll discuss that later.
Oh my God. Yeah. So she's been paying every single bill that this sister left her, which is kind of shitty. And she decides to start selling her furniture. She's already sold other things in the house to try to come up with rent. And she's just so sick of everything. She goes into her room and finishes packing because her best friend had given her a day pass for her birthday to a ski resort in Breckenridge. And she's just gonna decide to, you know what, let herself enjoy this trip. And if there's one thing she's learned from running away from foster homes when she was younger, is that your problems will always be waiting for you when you get back home, which is so true. And then we get the perspective of Damon, and he is at the dining room with his family for the family's like lunch. They don't typically always go so well, and he always knows when they're not going to go well when the nice china is set out because it's just trying to temper everything. Which,
His
by the way,
mom is so submissive to his father that this is her way of just like
please don't.
calming the situation. Just be like, look, everyone, there's nice things. Let's not break them.
Yeah, okay. This doesn't always go well. His dad is
Obviously.
basically trying to get him to run his other businesses and not focus on the property that Damon has. So he buys things, flips them, and like gets them so that the locals can rent them at like a decent price. But his dad thinks that he should turn those properties into Airbnbs instead. And then he
I
informs,
didn't like any of this. So he did his own thing. He used his own money, got his
mhm,
own like basic business going with all his rental properties. And then his dad came in, seeing it doing well, and was basically like, nah, I'm going to take your businesses and we're going to do it my way.
pretty much, yeah.
And I was just like, what the toxic shit is this?
Yeah. Well, the alpha.
Yeah.
His dad informs him that the lucky buck that is in Gold Creek will be his in June. He
His dad is
informs him,
not the alpha, though.
no,
His dad just feels like he's more alpha, but in reality, he's more alpha than his father. And he just doesn't want to eat him. Well,
yeah, yeah. He tells his dad that he doesn't want to run it. And his dad tells him, listen, it is a money maker, like, but in the last few years, it's been in the red. And basically, he wants him to turn it around. Damon tells him that he needs to find someone else to run it because he is not converting his rentals. His mom can sense something is about to happen. They're literally about to shift because like they're getting frustrated. But his sister ends up stepping in and says that she will run it if Damon is too busy. But his dad says that he knows that she could sell water to a fish, but Damon needs to learn and get some direction in his life and that he should be an alpha, but he's never applied himself. And that the McGregors, which is just another, it's the Bear
not
clan.
everyone wants to run the world, you know.
I know. Yeah. Some people want to be Pinky, some people want to be the brain. Okay.
And that is okay. I mean, we need both. The world needs all sorts of humans in it.
So the McGregors, which is just like it's a bear clan that's been encroaching on their territory, and they need to be run out of there, or there won't be any of the wolf people left in the area. And Damon really needs to calm down after the meal. His dad thinks that he needs some really big, solid responsibility. After the meal, his sister corners him in the hall and tries to talk him down, but he is still way too keyed up, and his wolf is just begging him to go back into the dining room. So he grabs his skis and heads outside to go skiing because that will help him calm down. But, you know, after a few runs, he is still just as tense. So he slips off into the trees and he hears a piercing scream and a nasty crack. And he follows the sounds until he catches two new scents, which is the scents of two human females. One of them is floral, with like the perfume and blood, and the other one is just pure heavenly sweet. And this female, the second one, smells like home. Wild. Who is it? So the woman that he's upon is Chloe and her friend Mallory. Mallory broke her femur.
Just
Apparently,
backstory. Since it's Chloe's birthday, Mallory is treating her.
so Mallory's her bestie. This would be like me and Ariel,
And even
except
though
except Ariel's
Chloe's
not
life
getting
is
married.
falling apart, Mallory is treating her for her birthday, and Chloe's just letting it all go for the day and just being with Mallory.
Yeah, so
It
Melly,
obviously is going well.
it's going well with the fact that Chloe can see the bone sticking
Yeah,
through her pink snow pants, which is not great. So,
Valerie's snow pants, but yeah.
correct, yes. Yes, Mallory broke her femur. Damon walks over, and all Chloe can think is, wow, he's really hot. But then she also thinks, oh my God, I have seen this guy before. His name is Damon Brewer, and she took English with him in high school. His family, super wealthy. Damon, somewhat of a player. Damon is trying to ask how long Mallory's been like this and that they need to get her to a hospital. He tries to calm them down and says, it's not as bad as it looks. It is, by the way. If you can see a bone through the snow pit and also the
I think he
femur,
probably just means it looks like a clean break
yeah.
versus.
Well, here's the thing. The femur is like the toughest bone in your body, so to break that is not good. Um, Honestly, they take some creative liberties with a couple of things in this book, and it was an interesting experience for me, but it's okay.
It was a novella about shifters.
I'm so well aware. Anyways, so he takes his jacket off to create a tourniquet so she doesn't, bleed out. He lets them know that the ski patrol is coming and they know where they are. Ski patrol does arrive and they start to take them away. And Mallory's fiance also shows up. What was that? What was
Away,
it? Oh,
away.
Moana again? Did we
Sorry.
we got to switch it up, I guess, from Taylor Swift sometimes. um,
I'm feeling a lot of Moana lately.
Moana's
How
good.
far I'll go.
Oh, my sweet Jesus. Well, you know,
You know what? I've also been. Never mind.
okay. Chloe tells Damon that she has to follow Mallory and the fiance to the hospital, make sure she's all right. And Damon says that's fine and to take care, but he really didn't want Chloe to go. And Chloe can kind of sense this. And she says, well, Mallory's car is parked down at the gondola lot. And Damon says that he will ride with her. So they're going to take the gondola down. All in Damon's head, the only thing he can think of is mine when he smells Chloe. Chloe does interrupt his thoughts and
That
thanks
fated
him.
mate thing.
Yep. And thanks him for saving Mallory's life. And he tells her, don't mention it. And he really does mean this because he was really distracted by Chloe's scent that it was actually a miracle her friend made it out alive. She asks him where he learned everything, and he says Boy Scouts because he's not about to tell her that he's a wolf shifter. Because well, why would he? And they just talk a little bit, and she explains that she knows how to ski because there was a program that paid for foster kids to go to ski school. So that's how she learned. And then the gondola ends up stopping at one of the lodges, but no new passengers get on, and they take off again. And the only sound that Damon can hear is the rattle of the gondola and Chloe's heart. And they kind of glance at each other, and he tells her that they don't have to talk. And he lets her know that it takes 2 minutes and 53 seconds to reach the next gondola stop. I just want you to know that my notes say Godzilla stop. But the scent around her arousal grows stronger, and his wolf whines with the urge to be near her and to mark her and to mate her. She asks, well, how should we fill the time? And Damon says, I can think of a few interesting ways. And he doesn't know who moves first. Just all of a sudden, they're both on their feet and they're making out. And then within seconds, they are stripped almost all the way down. And he falls to his knees and eats her out. And then he fingers her and then they fuck. And then all of a sudden,
All in less than 3 minutes.
which is a crazy experience.
Wild.
Honestly, I've had that happen, but not on purpose.
They were really going for this one.
Yeah, yeah. All of a sudden, he realizes his fangs have descended in his mouth and he panics and he backs out of her and she gets really confused and he just flips her around and then they fuck again. When they're done, they get dressed and with enough time.
Again, all with under 4 minutes.
Yeah, with enough time.
I mean, under three. Sorry.
Yeah, and a bunch of like afternoon skiers and snowboarders are waiting for the car at the gondola stop. Chloe makes it back to the Jeep and she
I
gets
want to
in,
know what her hair looks like. I
right?
just want a visual.
Right? Maybe she still got her hat on. I don't freaking know. But she gets into the driver's seat and starts the engine, and her brain is a scattered mess. She realizes she just fucked Damon in the gondola, and she doesn't remember much about him. And she's really not surprised that he doesn't remember her at all. She was a new girl in class when they originally met, and she didn't even stay the whole semester.
She was
She,
only there for like 6 months. Yeah.
yeah, she dropped out halfway. She was angry and pathetic back then. And as much as she kind of hates to admit, she really did want to have sex with him. And this, by the way, was mind blowing sex. So then we get 6 weeks later. And it is now Damon's birthday. Usually he loves his birthday, but this year he has to practically drag himself to his pre-party events. He hasn't talked to Chloe since then, and he tried to track her down, but he couldn't find her. And Chloe just isn't some pretty girl. She is his fated mate. And shifters who lose their mate just don't get over it overnight. I also have a question because didn't Chloe
I
say she was 9 weeks pregnant and this was only 6 weeks later?
I don't remember that part. I can look. But I have a different question.
Oh, of
If
course.
if she was supposedly his fated mate, right? And he could smell her, right?
Hmm.
And his nose is that great. Couldn't in theory he have gone around town with and tracked her with his nose?
Like a tracker dog, yes.
Right. Why didn't he try to do that if she was his mate?
Because he's a dumb man. I don't fucking know what to tell you.
I feel like a woman would have done that.
A woman would have done a lot of different things.
Yeah, well, that's true too.
Yeah.
All right. You want to know how many weeks? I'll look.
I swear she said she was 9 weeks pregnant, unless I was a little later on, but I swear she said she was 9 weeks. So I was a little like weirded if this was only 6 weeks. But, anyways, a couple of bear shifters had showed up at the Lucky Buck, and he took things probably a little too far. And he lost his temper with his bartender, and he's not doing great. So he heads to the Sugarloaf Bakery, and as soon as he gets inside, he smells her. And there she is, just perched on the counter. He tells her good morning, and then he has no idea what else the fuck to say. He just can't believe he found her. He explains to the front employee, who's not Chloe, that he wants to order a cake. It's his birthday next week, and he's having 50 of his closest friends, and he's kind of being a little bit gross about some things unintentionally. And even inside his head, he's thinking, what the actual fuck? Like, he should not be allowed to exist. So it's kind of nice to see him spiraling a little bit. But the girl at the counter takes down his order and everything, and then he leaves.
Okay.
Chloe,
Sorry.
go ahead. Mhm.
So it is 6 weeks later, but then I think it's the next week at the party, right? That she
Yeah.
says, yeah. So 9 weeks. That does make perfect sense because technically, the way that pregnancy works is, I know this is kind of dumb and stupid, but the way that pregnancy works is when the actual time starts is your last cycle. So then
Okay.
2 weeks to ovulation would be then when you'd kind of technically have sex. And so usually there'd be a 2 week window. So it's
Okay.
usually you add 2 weeks.
Got it.
I know
Okay.
that's so
It's stupid.
silly
You
and
would think it would
stupid,
be time of
but
conception to whatever, but
because
it is
there
what
is a
it.
difference of time of conception versus
So
like,
dumb.
yeah, I know.
Cool. Because I was like, wait, she says she's 9
That's
weeks.
why they always go by your last cycle, and unless you literally know and then it's a whole thing.
Yeah. So Chloe goes to the bathroom door and she has 2 packs of pregnancy tests. And by the way, yes, she is actually pregnant and she doesn't know what to do. Like, does she tell him? Like, she never planned on having kids of her own. If she met the right guy in some hypothetical scenario, she thought maybe she'd like to adopt. She heads back to her apartment. Finn must have snuck in through the window, and rage just flows through her because all she can smell is pot. And now she's thinking, dude, I'm fucking pregnant. I can't do this, blah, blah, blah. So she ends up kicking him out, and she is very proud of herself for doing this because she never thought that that kind of rage could happen or that she would ever stand up for herself like that. But she also gets a sinking feeling. She's very glad that Finn is gone, but she needs to get another $500 to pay his half of the rent. And, you know, if she's going to be late on rent again, she's definitely going to get evicted.
He wasn't paying it anyways.
Yeah, get evicted. And she's also pregnant. So she's going to be homeless and pregnant. And she's just also thinking that, like, the asshole Damon also had said fucking hardly 2 words to her when he came in to order his birthday cake. And he probably doesn't even remember her name. And she already told Paige and Mallory, by the way, Paige is her coworker, that she would go to his birthday bash next week. And Paige really needs to get laid, and Mallory is trying to get one last girls trip in before she gets married. So party comes, and by the time that they arrive at the Brewer family lodge in Breckenridge, she is a big ball of nerves, and she is trying to think back to her conversation with Damon, wondering, how exactly he knew how long the gondola went between stops, and she needs to tell him about the baby. She decided to stay pregnant, which, by the way, in my opinion, dumb, but okay. But I'm not
In her
her.
current situation, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
But everyone
And
has their
yeah,
own choices.
yeah, and raise the baby on her own, even though she has no idea how she's going to financially swing it. She doesn't want anything from Damon, and she has no illusions about him wanting to be involved. But telling someone they're going to be a dad is not an easy conversation. She decides to slip into the hot tub to calm her nerves, which, by the way, you are not supposed to do when you're pregnant.
Maybe she just has no idea. You have to remember she was a foster
Especially,
kid, and
especially when you're 9 weeks
I
pregnant. It is
know
so bad in the first
she probably
trimester.
had no idea.
You, I
You would
would
think she'd
Google
start
everything.
looking. I know.
Yeah.
We are not the
Anyways,
same. Not we, but
I
yeah,
read that and I was like,
we are not all the
oh
same.
God,
Yep, yep, me
no.
too.
And I had to, and
Not
I knew it, and I
everybody
just,
should be parents.
well, clearly she has no financial anything. She's struggling to pay rent and all this other stuff, and she doesn't even want help from the baby daddy, but yet she's like, I'm still gonna do this. Me personally, and I understand not everyone is the same way. Me personally, absolutely not. Anyways, so Mallory and Paige slip into the hot tub beside her and they're chatting about Mal's upcoming nuptials. And then her stomach kind of glitches with envy because they're also talking about Mallory like looking for a new house and all this other stuff. And she's kind of like a little envious of this because this is a lot. And suddenly, a loud rumble of drunken laughter appears, and two people have joined them, a guy she does not recognize and Damon. And immediately, she feels a warm ache between her legs when she sees Damon. She did not come here to get screwed by Damon. She came here to deliver a message. He tells her that he's so glad she came. She's kind of a little snippy about it and asks if he was hoping to repeat their gondola adventure. And he says no. And he apologizes for how he acted at the bakery. He had hoped to see her again, and he never even got her number, but he didn't even know she lived in Gold Creek. And she goes, you didn't ask. When was he going to ask? Is my question.
Dumb boy, dumb boy.
Yeah,
What you gonna do?
but then she asks if they could talk somewhere private, and they go to his bedroom. Damon senses that she is nervous and wonders why she's so nervous. Is it because she thinks they're going to have sex? He literally thought that that's what they were going to want to do. Like, bro. But he's not actually sure. He can also see that she's a little cold and she denies it, but he gives her his hoodie anyways. Chloe then drops the bomb that she is pregnant and he is shocked and confused, but something warm blooms in his chest and he double checks to make sure she's pregnant and he goes, but I pulled out. And obviously, this is a stupid thing to say because that is not how this works. Honestly, neither one of these people should have children. Like,
He's in
I'm
the hot
sorry.
tub.
I
He's
am
pulling out.
sorry. Like, she let him know that she doesn't want anything from him, no money or child support. He doesn't even need to be involved. She just thought that he should know. And his chest constricts because she doesn't want him involved. And like he couldn't have fucked this up worse if he tried. Probably you could have. But he tells her he really does want to be involved and that while they don't know each other, they can fix that. He wants to get to know her. He likes her. This isn't the way he thought this would go, but he wants to be a father and raise the baby with her. She says, no, you don't. You're just saying that. But he tells her, no, I want everything with you. She is, right about them not knowing about each other, but they're mates. He does not tell her that they're mates, by the way. But, the honesty thing probably should have started here.
Possibly, but I kind of understand why he didn't want to scare the shit out of her and make her run
Yeah,
away.
yes. But anyways, so like this means just so much more to him and he doesn't have to know her to want to protect her and make her happy, but he tells her that he is going to show her how good it can be with him. Just so you know, he's talking about sex, okay? And then they make out. And then he tells her that he fucked up the first time they met because he did not take his time. And she also informs him that they actually met before in high school. And he does remember her and that he had actually wanted to ask her out, but he knew she would never say yes. And she goes, bullshit. But he apologizes and says that he's going to make it up to her. So he eats her out, then he fingers her and tells her that she wants him to scream his name when she comes. And then he also, by the way, delays her orgasm a lot. And she starts getting frustrated. I also hate that, but it's an interesting experience. Then he flips her over onto her stomach and then he fucks her between her legs without going in her first. And then he actually does fuck her. And then he comes inside of her, and the second he fills her with his seed, his wolf starts freaking out again because there is an urge to mark her. And he was so focused on not biting her that he was just not thinking clearly. But then he gets concerned that he hurt the baby. And she goes, "That's not how that works." Again, these people should not be
At least she
parents.
knows something. At least
Yeah.
she knows something.
And she's like, it does not work like that. But then he's gonna get up and he's gonna get some water and snacks. And he's like, I gotta get her snack. Like, Chloe is my mate and she is pregnant with my pup. And he might have done this all backwards, but he is determined to make it up to her. And all of a sudden there's a loud crack of a branch outside and it cuts through the party. And the fact that they did all this at a party is still wild to me because I forgot they were at a party for a minute. And I was like, oh, that's right. They're at his birthday party. And he just disappeared.
He just cares about his mate, okay?
I
He has
know, I
other
know.
priorities.
I know. And but so the hair on the back of his neck stands up and he smells bears. There are 5 bear shifters outside behind his house. So he goes out and an ear-splitting scream makes him flatten his ears. So he's gonna try to take these men on. But he's also wondering where the
He's got to
fuck
protect his mate.
he's also wondering where the fuck his brothers are because it's the McGregor people who have been trying to encroach on their territory. But then his brothers do eventually come and try to help. And then all of a sudden he feels like teeth ripping through his scruff. And then he's flying. And then a flash of gray and then everything goes dark. Chloe is glancing at the clock and Damon like left to go get food, but he still is not back. And she thinks maybe he got caught up in conversation with one of his guests. But then 45 minutes goes by and her brain keeps telling her he is not coming back. She creeps out the hallway and like in the hallway she hears sex noises coming from the other side of a door. So it's probably Paige and the other guy. She tries to find Mal and tell her to take her home because this was a mistake and she's just not having a good time. Damon does finally come to, and he learns that he has a bad concussion, and suddenly the events of everything come rolling back to him about Chloe, the baby, the bears, and he says he needs to go. He needs to go back to Gold Creek because he needs to take care of something. Sugarloaf Bakery is just opening for the day. Chloe is not working, but the owner gives him a really nasty look, saying that Chloe got a job at the Lucky Buck, which is not great because, by the way, this place is basically Hooters. And
On steroids.
yeah. So he heads to the Buck and finds her. And she tells him, I haven't seen you around and I thought, whatever. And he asks her if they can talk somewhere in private. She tells him that she applied for this job a couple weeks ago because he's not thrilled that she is working here before she knew everything. And, this job just pays better. He asks her if she's in any kind of trouble and if anyone has been threatening her. And Chloe says that she is handling it. He tells her that she does not need to be working there. She is pregnant. And she kind of goes off on him and says, you don't get to pretend that you care. You don't get to come in here and act all jealous and possessive. You left. I don't need you to explain. I don't want your money or your pity. I could take care of this baby on my own. And he asks her what's wrong with accepting a little help. And she tells him, as soon as I take anything from you, your rich family is going to get their fancy lawyers, and I can't afford a lawyer. By the time your
I can
father is done with me,
understand
I can understand.
her worry with this.
Yes. She's like, I'll only be able to see my baby on the weekends and holidays. He lets her know that he didn't leave last night. He was dealing with something and he pulled up his shirt and showed claw marks that was left. And, he got mauled by a bear. And she goes, those are not fresh. And he tells her like he was knocked down in a fight and that's why he didn't come back. And he says that he is a wolf shifter. She does call him a werewolf a couple of times, which is funny, but she does not believe him. So he decides to prove it and he just shifts in front of her. And she goes, you're a werewolf. She does let him know, though, that this does not change anything, that they're never going to work. But he says it changes
We are
everything.
never ever getting back together.
She is a giant liar.
Yeah. Okay, let's be real.
Yeah.
This is a book.
Yeah.
It's a novella.
Yeah, he says it changes everything. You're my mate. You and I, we're bound by fate. Wolf shifters, they're like they mate for life. They're loyal to the bone. She finds it very hard to believe. And he says, you're it for me. I don't want anyone else. And I am incapable of wanting anyone else. And there's nothing my wolf or I wouldn't do to protect you and our baby. She admits that this is a little bit too much. And it does not change the fact that he is a gazillionaire from a good family and he doesn't really want her. he asks her, "What do I need to do to prove it?" And she tells him, "Nothing. We're just not meant to be." And then before she walks out, she lets him know that the manager from the establishment, by the way, stealing, because the whole business is like in the red and everything, but she had seen it happen before. So she was just
Well,
letting him know.
that's why his father wanted him to take it over because he wanted him to
Yes.
figure out what was going wrong with the business because honestly, he has a better eye for business and
Right. Yeah. 2 weeks later, Chloe is still wearing Damon's sweatshirt and it smells like him, and her stomach is clenching. She had put an ad for a roommate, but she just decided to sublet her place instead. She quit her job at the Lucky Buck and now she's living in a studio above the bakery on a month-to-month basis until she finds another place, but the rent is super cheap. All of a sudden, there was a pounding on her door, and she thought it was fucking Gator, but it's Damon. She hadn't heard anything from Damon for 2 weeks, and she asks him what he wants, and he asks if he can come in. He brought her a pregnancy pillow because it's supposed to make sleeping more comfortable. His sister said all her pregnant friends swear by them, and then asks if she would go with him somewhere, and that it will
he
only
sees
take
all
10
the
minutes.
boxes everywhere
Yeah,
and is like, what's going on? And she explains that she's moving because it's basically she's getting ready to move to over the bakery.
I thought she was already living there in
Mm-mm.
town. Oh, okay.
Because he
Uh,
even makes a comment about
that's
how
right.
it's
You're right.
great
Right.
that,
Right.
yeah.
Right. He brings her to a house and tells her he bought it. And he bought it and flipped it 8 years ago. And it's just been a rental ever since the tenant's lease was up recently. And it's hers if she wants it. But uh, if she ever wants to see him again, everything is hers no matter what, free and clear. She thinks it's too much
He
to
would
accept.
love for it to be together, but
Yeah.
she can just have it.
She thinks it's too much to accept, and he says it's not very big. You can afford it, and if you take the manager position at the Lucky Buck, you'll have more money. And also, my dad added, because he made him, added a generous parental leave package, and you would be reporting to my sister, and like he'll always be there. And that, oh, by the way, Gator
Your
McGregor is
stuff
not.
is already packed up anyways. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, and Gator McGregor isn't going to be bothering you any longer. And then they embrace and hug, and she allows him to also move in, and then they fuck. And he wants to mark her, and that it will basically combine them forever. And she says, "Mark me." And he goes, "Are you sure? It's permanent." And she says, "Good." And then we get an epilogue, which is 7 months later, and they're watching Outlander, which turns her on. And then her water breaks, and she has her baby. And then after that, we get 5 weeks later, and Damon's just singing to their baby.
The whiplash, the whiplash, the whiplash, Crystal. You're like, I'm done with this.
I mean, that's what happens. Congratulations. So, who is your favorite character?
I want to say it was her friend, but I felt like she kind of dropped off the face of the earth.
Yeah, for as much as she was saying how much she was her like best friend and all this other stuff, I mean, after she broke her femur, she
Well,
just
and
disappeared.
I kind of understand that on some level, but I
But I
kind of
feel
also
like we
wanted
did.
to know what happened.
I wanted to know what happened. I wanted to know her thoughts on things. Because I
Yeah,
guarantee you that if I found myself a wolf shifter boyfriend, you would be the first fucking person to be like, bitch, you're
right.
a wolf.
So now, because I don't have that, I guess I want to say his sister.
Yes, the one who I for a second I was like, wait, he had a sister. He
The
did.
one who, yeah.
Yeah, yep, yep, yeah. Yeah, no, because she was more than willing to step up and like step into the role because he clearly is not ready for that role at
Yeah.
all. Um, so agree.
Least favorite, her sister.
Yeah, the foster sister bitch who she saddled her with rent. She saddled her with an ex-boyfriend who is a pothead, and then she saddled her with drugs, like her
Yeah.
drug dealer.
Fucking
Yeah, she's
wild.
a shitty, shitty person. Ugh, lame.
Wild nuggets.
Wild, wild nuggets. You're so funny.
Wild
So
nuggets. Sweet and sour.
Amazon gives us a 4.4 and Goodreads a 4.2.
So this was a novella,
Hmm.
very short book. And honestly, I was here for a lot of it
Hmm.
until the epilogue. I felt like the epilogue and the rest of the book did not match the characters' energies. And I don't know if that's why you sped through it or if you're just trying to get it done with. But the
A
character,
little
I
bit
was
of both.
actually hoping that you would spend more time with it so that everyone else could understand what I'm talking about. But the characters' energies were like night and day between the epilogue and the main book. And I'm going to be honest, if the rest of the whole time I was reading the regular part, I was hoping that it was a whole book. Like I was like, oh, this would be great as a full-size book, like and in a whole series. Like I wouldn't mind reading this. Like this would be
Mhm.
a nice like out of my head read, like cool beans. Until I got to the epilogue. And then I was like, dude, if a full-size book gave us more of the epilogue, I would have DNF'd it.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
was like a 4-star read for me until the epilogue, and then I was like, this is awful.
Yeah. So
Like
part of why I
the
sped through
dude
it.
turned into a fucking ding dong and a fucking idiot. Like I was like, what is with this shit?
Yeah, that's part of why I just sped through the end because honestly, and I know you said whiplash, but like realistically, that end piece was a little whiplashy
It
anyways.
was, but
So
also like their behavior and their demeanor, it was wild. So
yeah.
I ended up settling on a 3.5 because of the epilogue.
I settled on a 3.5 as well, and it was partially because of the epilogue, partially because of the I don't do the pregnancy trope. It's not my thing, like the accidental oopsie babies. I don't know why. I don't know why that I just it's not my
Yeah.
thing. Like if I and I think that's why I said like I must have either blacked out or didn't know the premise of this book because I personally I just it's not my but we are stepping out of the I mean I don't know. Ariel has basically broken me in the 3 years that we've been doing this where like before it was like, oh no, I'm struggling because of this book. And now like I will read anything, which is fine. But if I was to read this separately outside of the podcast, I wouldn't have read it. And it's simply because I always read the description of the book before I
Might
read
have read
them.
it.
I would have been cool until I got to the pregnancy part and then like, nah.
Oh,
Because
I wouldn't have been like
knowing
I don't
me,
mind it a lot of times,
I don't
but
know why I don't like it. It's just but it's one of
because
those
it's
things like
not real life, I guess.
everyone has that like those little areas where they're just
We've read some recently and it wasn't.
what did we read recently?
I feel like we just read like one or two recently because we were just having this conversation about the pregnancy thing. And both of us said that we weren't that, like, it
I
wasn't
don't
that big
think
of a deal to us. Because a lot of people hate the pregnancy trope. And we both said, like,
I
I just
don't
remember, like, I just
this is
flipped it not
no,
that
I
long
know
ago.
pregnancy is not my regular one. Kids in it. I think we had one with kids in it recently, but the kid wasn't like
No, it was a pregnant, oh, it was the dragon one.
oh
Because the same thing happened in the dragon one. They wham bammed in the beginning and then she was pregnant and it was a
yeah.
mated thing.
I swear I said pregnancy is not my thing. It's not like it's really not because no, because I think I even made a comment because I'm like it kind of reminds me of like when there's also kids because of the Sims thing. I
Hmm.
always relate shit to The Sims. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but like it is one of those things where it's just I can't English. It's just not my thing. It's just not something I fully enjoy. And it is for everybody, but for the podcast, I will, we'll read whatever and that's fine. But in my like personal outside of this, I don't read it. And that's just a personal preference. But I'm not going to be like DNF instantly because of it. Like obviously we sat here and read it and the rest of it was good. Do I wish that she was smarter? Yeah. Do I think that she should be a parent? No. Neither one of them should be parents. Okay, so peppers.
Jalapeno.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I would survive.
I would be great. I'd have a great time.
So yes, as a reminder, we do not have regular Friday episodes for September. It is just the specials, and we are shifting our way through September. So because we aren't doing the regular episodes, we'll give you the heads up. Next time we are reading Feral Sins by Suzanne Wright, and we're going to dive into that world. This is a book that I actually have read, I don't know, 2 or 3 times, and Crystal, it's been on her shelf for a while. So
Like my literal shelf, because Ariel
yeah,
bought me the physical book and it's just been sitting on my shelf.
so she's going to make her way through it.
Yeah,
It is a bigger book than we typically have for specials, but we only have 2 for September, so making our way through it. So
making
join
my way
us
downtown. Sorry.
next time for our other Shifter September book, and make sure to keep reading.
And keep it smutty.